Hi guys, I'm Christina Heideck from PTO Answers, and today we are going to talk about whether you should be fundraising for your PTO or PTA this year or not. And this is such a hot topic in the PTA PTO Superstar Leader Facebook group. So if you are not already a member of that fabulous community, I'm going to invite you right now to join. And as we are waiting for other people to get onto the live stream, I'm gonna just say, take a second, go over and request to join. Make sure to answer those questions though, because if you don't answer those questions, my fabulous moderator and administrative sidekick, Diana, is not gonna let you in. So make sure that you answer those questions. And side note, if you're inviting your friends, make sure that they know that they need to be responding to those questions too. Okay, cool. So fundraising is always such like a big deal for PTAs and PTOs because that's how we do our work, right? I know many groups also rely on grants that they get from community organizations, but 99% of the money that we have really comes from fundraising. So it's important to do it right. But this year's kind of funky. We're in the middle of a recession. A lot of people are out of work. We're not able to put on programs and events. So should you even be fundraising? I've heard it from both sides where people say, definitely we're going to go ahead. And then other people are like, oh no, that's just distasteful to ask for money when so many people are out of work. And so I'm going to chime in with my opinion on it today and give you some actionable advice to help you decide, like, you know, should you, it's like Ellen's Game of Games. What's it? Go or no? I forget her game. Anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So, to answer the overarching question of should you be fundraising, yes or no, really you need to ask as like a group, like, do you actually need the money? Like in any year, doesn't matter, not just this year, but any year, that's always the primary question that you should be asking. Like, do you actually need the money? If you don't actually need the money, then you shouldn't be asking for money. That's just gonna put a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and it's gonna perpetuate the stereotype that PTOs are just a bunch of money grabbing people, like that's all they care about. They don't actually care about the kids, but they just care about raising money. So yeah, don't play into that stereotype by asking for money if you don't actually need the money. And so in order to make that determination of whether or not you need the money, you need to have a plan, like for the year, know what you're gonna be spending money on. And so this is why everything I talk about always kind of goes back to planning, because if you don't have a plan, if you don't know what you're doing for the year or even the next month or week or whatever, you can't answer these larger questions that really feed into what you should be doing as a group. So it is really important for you to have a plan. And so that's why I keep harping on it. So know that I'm not just saying this because I am like an organizational queen and I want to give everybody planning and organizing and whatever. No, it is really the cornerstone of what you need to be doing. So please start doing it. So there's my little soapbox rant right there. But you're gonna need to get your group together and like think about, well, okay, gee, this year, what are you actually gonna be spending money on? You're not gonna be spending on programs. You're not gonna be spending money on events. Teacher appreciation. Oh yeah, you better believe you're gonna be spending a lot of money on teacher appreciation. You also need to be recognizing students. I would allocate some money towards some kind of maybe an incentive to program. I think it's going to be a lot of morale boosting this year. That's what I think you're going to probably be spending the majority of your money on. And scholarships, that's something you probably, mini grants for teachers, maybe not, depending on your school, like if you're actually back in the building or if teachers even need it. That's a whole nother consideration. But really look at those kind of things. And then you want to look at your reserves. And hopefully you have been following my advice and you're not spending every last little penny in the spring and you are rolling some money over. Because if you are just, that's never a good idea. It's just like your personal finances. You would never draw your bank accounts down to zero unless you're, there's no good reason to do that. unless you're just really not with it. But you always want to leave a reserve. And so that's why I always recommend that you carry over at least 25% of your annual budget, if not more. Now, should you be carrying over 200% of your budget? Heck no, especially if you have a large budget. But there are some groups, like my high school PTSA, we have a large budget. Like, I think we bring in and spend close to $50,000, $60,000 a year. And so yeah, we carried a lot over because programs got curtailed in the spring. They didn't happen, so we had a lot. And so when we met over the summer to kind of discuss like actually we were discussing the budget and what we said was, we're not ready to make a decision on this. We're just going to keep it open. And I think actually we did technically vote on it so that people could spend money and have the authority to do that. But it was clear among all executive board members that this was not the final time. Like, we were going to have to come back to the budget. It's not going to be like a normal year where you approve it once and maybe make some modifications throughout the year. But it was just like a starting point, right? Because we acknowledged things were going to change. It was really funky. But a large part of the conversation was centered around the fact that we have to plan, as PTOs, have to plan for the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is that school is not back to normal for a couple years yet. And so if you're not already thinking in those terms, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I really don't. I really, really want everything back to normal. Like, if I could snap my fingers and make it happen, I so would. But y'all, we have to plan. We have to plan like it's not going to come back to normal anytime soon. So what does that mean? That means not shooting all your wad this year, right? So you want to keep some, maybe a little bit more that you've kept in reserves so that you have money to sustain you. Luckily for my high school PTSA, we have that cushion, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad, because last year was a really weird year for concessions, and that's the primary way that organization makes money. I don't know what was happening. I think the coordinators just happened to be fabulous. They are really fabulous women, so to have such success, I'm just going to attribute it to them. But so we had all this, we were like flush with money, and we're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do with all this money? And then we're like, when it came to the summer, we're like, oh, thank goodness we have all this money, because now there's not that worry. If we don't do any fundraising this year, we'll be totally fine. And that is a really good place to be. So, long story short, first you got to figure out whether you even need the money. So you need to look at what programs, what events, what things you want to be supporting this year. And then you want to see if you already have money in the bank to support that. But you don't want to look at just this year. Ideally, I would look for this year and next year. If you have enough in your accounts to sustain you for 2 years, okay? This is Debbie Downer worst case scenario. I think most things that I've heard is that end of 2021 will be okay, or starting to get okay, or vaccine, whatever, okay? So that's just like the long range kind of plan that I want you to be having on this kind of issue. It is a tough pill to swallow, but that's the reality. We have to play the long game here. Okay, so if you have enough money to sustain you comfortably for those 2 years without any questions, then no, you should not be doing any kind of fundraising. So just take that off. I really think you should not be. If, however, you don't have enough to sustain you and you're like, holy crap, we can't even pay for like basic stuff, or you're brand new and you don't have anything in the bank, then yeah, you're going to need to do a little kind of fundraising. So, and that's okay. But again, you need to keep those 2 years, and I would keep a 2-year cushion right about now. All right, so if you need to fundraise, what do you do? There's like a whole bunch of options, and I am so impressed with the creativity of the ideas that I keep hearing, both locally as well as in the PTA PTO Superstar Leader group. I'm going to do a whole separate Facebook Live, a whole separate video on that, on the specific ideas, just because, one, I have a touch of a headache today, and I think address the issue that has come up that I said I was going to address in the title or the topic for this video, which is whether or not you should even be fundraising. And two, I want to just have that on a whole separate day so that I can really spread the word about that and get more of you guys to watch it, because I think it's going to be, I know I have some really good ideas to share with you guys. So I'm excited about that. Okay. So some general ideas though, I'm just going to give you a little taste. Look for passive ideas like restaurant nights. If you haven't yet dipped your toes into that arena, I highly suggest. It's a good way to earn a little bit of money here and there. Look for opportunities where there is no contact. Like I know a lot of schools are saying, fine, you can do whatever you want, but you can't have contact. Like they have to be contactless free options to where people can pick up at curbside or whatever. Cool, this is awesome. There are tons of opportunities, and I think more are going to be coming up the longer we are living with this. All right, the next suggestion I have for you is to make it something fun, like that, something that entertains people. For example, my husband and I are huge Princess Bride fans. You better believe that we were attending the Princess Bride fundraiser that the Wisconsin Democrats had a couple weeks ago. Like that was really fun, and I really enjoyed it. And it was a twofer. Got to support them, and then also got to be entertained by something that we love. So that was really cool. And then the last resource I want to point you to, if you're really stuck with fundraising and you need some help, then I'm going to point you to a resource that I've put together to help groups, and that is the fundraising formula. And I've dropped the link in the video description so you can grab it there. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, because I'm going to download this, y'all know this, right? I also have a YouTube channel. So if you're not able to watch this on Facebook, then you can watch this on YouTube. And the link to the resources that I've talked about today are going to be in the description for both here and over on YouTube. So then the last resource I want to tell you about is the PTO Pandemic Playbook. And I've, again, dropped that link in the description. If you are new to watching me here today, then hi, welcome, but go ahead and grab that free resource. That'll really help you with so many different aspects of like how to PTO this year. Because this is really tough, guys. And I know that it's getting, I can see it's getting a little stressful for some people. So definitely check out those two resources. The fundraising formula, I've been fundraising chair, and it's a task. It's a task. So I pulled together a whole bunch of resources to make it a little bit easier and put it all into one guide, including a 6-month timeline to follow. So y'all know I love a good plan. So I put it all into writing there for you guys to follow. So I hope that you enjoy that resource, and I hope you've enjoyed this talk. Tomorrow I'm going to be back with, and I've totally forgotten, I don't know how I forgot. I have like the mind of a sieve these days. Do you guys have that issue? Let's see. Oh, I don't know how I could forget this. See, here's the thing. Gosh. Fresh ideas for how to PTO even when you don't have access to the school. Like that one I am legit excited about. So, and here I have somebody interrupting me.
It's my last class.
Hi, I'm on a live stream. Bye-bye. Okay, that's why the door's closed. We had an almost cameo appearance. Hey, do you guys have this where your children come to you in between each class and go, I'm done? My high schooler does not do this. My high schooler grunts at me and I throw food at him. And then I say, go away, come back when you're in a better mood. But the 12-year-old, he still comes in between every single class and I get a hug and a kiss. It's really cute. I enjoy it. It's a side benefit. But I think I forgot to remind him that I was gonna be live streaming today, and that's why he tried to come on in. So anyway, with all of that, I'm gonna go see him before he jumps on his next class. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And I'm gonna be back tomorrow. That's right, with I was telling you that I'm super excited about these ideas. Like things you can do, and a lot of them are, let me just look at my notes. I have, look at all these notes. Let's see how many are gonna cost you money. None. None are gonna cost you money. So that is pretty exciting. So, alrighty guys, I'm going to take off and go give my kiddo a hug because that's what he was coming in for. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.